today we're going to take a look at some JavaScript. Everybody should have downloaded this, and it's available. It'll be on merihelp.net. If anybody else needs it, I'll put it up as a link, the zip files. I'm going to preview it, and go ahead and preview with me if you haven't taken a look at it yet. And you'll notice that the arrow keys will move it in either direction. And I didn't save taking out. You guys will see that if you move to the left, it has an alert statement, and I will show you guys how to remove that. I was using it for debugging. So we have two basic things that happen here. Your arrow keys will move your images where it appears where they slide. They're really not. But this will count from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They each will change through the 7 different images, starting at a different place. That's what's really happening, is that they are rotating through 7 images, and they're just starting, so it appears to be moving. In Canvas, you'll download from the JavaScript assignment, you'll download 11.zip. Now, the other thing it does, you'll notice that I have a title, a very exciting, beautiful Photoshop image, admire my Photoshop work, and a caption, also highly creative and innovative there, not. So what we have here are 3 different items that if I click on these thumbnails up at the top, they all change. Now I used simple numbers so that you could see that all these 3 things belong together. Now the placement doesn't matter. You could have this film strip type image going on either side. You could have it at the bottom. When you change the location in the HTML, it doesn't impact the JavaScript code. Let's look at it in Dreamweaver. Okay. If you open it up in Dreamweaver, you're going to notice that we have 3 files that are all linked. I'm going to open it up into code view, and you'll notice at the top we have source code, the Lab 11 CSS, and the Lab 11 JS, and JS stands for? JavaScript. Okay. So we're going to look at it in code view. And it's actually a reasonably simple HTML. You'll notice up at the top that we link to CSS, but for JavaScript, we're putting it in script tags. Script type equals text/JavaScript, and then our source, and then that ends our script tag. We have an external ID div with an ID of container, a div with an ID of thumb. That's where my thumbnails are. So all of these are at the top. We have a left and a right arrow button. The left is called left because I'm a programmer, therefore somewhat logical. And this is how we call our JavaScript. If you click on the left image, it calls a function, which is a piece of programming code in JavaScript named backscroll. If you are trying to copy this and it doesn't work, I hadn't done JavaScript in about 6 months. I was forgetting to put the parentheses in. The parentheses tell JavaScript that it's a function. So it's onClick equals backscroll, scroll is a capital S, and the parentheses tell it that it's a function. So it's going to look in the linked JavaScript file for this function. If you click on one small ping, and it doesn't matter what image is actually in here, it's the ID. Actually, it doesn't matter. We just click on this one. On click, we call 1 large. On click, we call 2 large. On click, we call 3 large. On click, we call 4 large. And those are my 4 thumbnails. So you're going to need to add it, and we're going to do it together, so it won't be that hard. We're going to add an additional one before the right arrow, and we're going to put in 5 to show you how to modify this. Then we have our bottom div, which is our main image. And for this to work, for us to be able to control anything in here, we locate it by its ID. We're going to use JavaScript to change 3 things here. The title, ID title, the image source, ID main, and the caption, ID caption. Use meaningful semantic names. Those should all, I could have been more specific here. I could have called that main image. Everybody with me so far? We have put IDs, which you guys have done before, in the HTML so that we can use them from the JavaScript. Does anybody want to look at the CSS? That should be pretty self-explanatory at this point to everybody. We're going to go to the JavaScript then. You're welcome to look through the CSS on your own. You will need to change the width of the thumbs section. Oh, that's interesting. It's not seeing my images. Okay, so we're going to look at the JavaScript. I'm going to go into pure code. And I'm going to talk through how it works and what changes and what doesn't change. This is just giving me a shortcut so that the $ represents document.getElement by ID, because otherwise I'd have to type this a bunch of times. So it's making this whole line equal the $. So any place you see the $, which you will later, it's just telling me to get the document or get element by ID, because the document is our HTML document, and our element, our HTML elements, like the paragraph, anything with an ID, we are uniquely finding that ID, and that's how we change it. So you don't need to make any changes to that. When we add another thumbnail, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and the next one should be called 5 thumb. And if 1 thumb equals 0, because when we program, we count from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, not 1, 2, 3, 4. So in our array, this is 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. 5 thumb would be set equal to 4, because we would grab the 5th element, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are just creating image objects. You don't need to make any changes with these. And we have arrays of images here. Now I have thumbnails and large images. So I have a variable called images, which I could have also called thumbs. It probably would have been more meaningful. And it has all of my 7 images. And you'll notice, to make it easy on myself, I've named them 1 small, 2 small. Sometimes I use 1 thumb. My titles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My captions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Large, 1 large ping, 2 large ping. Everything's in quotes, separated by commas. So if you wanted to make these 50 long, you just keep doing commas and quotes around it. You can have as many pictures as you want. This is where you'd change that if you just want more pictures or less. You just put a comma and keep typing. Make sense? It has you'd have more thumbnails, more titles, more captions, more of your large images. You can go on to infinity and beyond. Then we have count. Count is my images dot length. So that it's going to actually, they should all be the same length. It's just grabbing the count, which we're going to use. Now, if I count, it's going to tell me that these are 7 long. But my last array is actually in 6, because it's 0 through 6 for 7 places. Does that make sense? People who've taken C++ are going, yeah, this makes perfect sense. So it's going to make more sense when I get to the different functions. These are the functions that we're calling. Preload calls as soon as we start the HTML. You don't need to worry about this. It's just preloading the images. Our right button calls the forward scroll function. And so each of these started at a number. 1 thumb started at 0. Plus plus just means add 1. So every time we click it, we add 1 to it. We're going to check when it's equal to count, which is 7. We reset it to 0, so it starts through the loop again. Each of these does the same thing. I just copied and pasted it. They're all just starting at different points, so they won't hit 0 at the same time. Now, if you're in back scroll, you're going to see I have an alert here for 1 thumb. Highlight and delete that. That was just helping me find my error. It's been a while since I did it. I was forgetting to do count -1. So since I'm going to the left, I want to check, because 0 is a valid number, because it's actually our first array item. So I check here if it's less than 0. If I go into negatives, then I want to reset it to 6, count -1, so I start at the highest one. Other than that, it's exactly the same as the one above it. This may seem like a blur. We're going to change it together. For each function, our 1 thumb, 2 thumb, 3 thumb, if you've done programming, this is going to make sense. If you haven't, it's not. These are global variables, meaning they can be seen by the whole program. So if we make changes to them, it will actually change up here. So I can reuse that variable to know where I'm at. So here, our toLarge function, it's just taking whatever's number is at 2 thumb, pulling it from the array, because if it's number 3, it would grab the 4th array item, and it's swapping all of these, the main, the title, and the caption, to be the 4th item in the array. Completely and totally intimidated yet? Some of you are saying yes, and so you're like, this is no big deal, I program all the time. The nice thing is it's relatively easy to copy and modify. So our goal today, and in 20 minutes we will do this, is to add one additional thumbnail and then make it work. So go back to the source code and go back to design. This should be more familiar ground. I want to add an additional thumbnail to the top here. Each of these is 125 pixels wide. So we're going to go to the container for thumbs, which is thumb, and double click on it. And let's add 30 pixels just to be safe to whatever you've got. So you're going to double click, go to box, and set the width to 765. And then you want to click between the number 4 and the right triangle and insert the small 5. Which should be in the same folder I'm working in, and this is taking the MCC DGM, so I have to go look for it. Mine's on my desktop. Lab 11. So you want 5- small to go there. Alternate text should be 5. And you may have to adjust further to make it fit. I forgot about the padding. Okay, for me, when I hit 850, my triangle went back into place. So that's step 1. When everybody's here, we'll move on. Make sure you save when you get the 5th one up there. That's the easy part. Everybody should be able to insert the image so you have all 5 across the top. And again, it took me moving it the width of thumb to 850 to make everything fit. So now I want you guys to go into Code View. You're going to find that 5th one we just put in, which should be image source 5 small PNG, alt equals 5. At the end of that, before the bracket, you want to include on click equals, you can spell out the word 5, F-I-V-E, large with a capital L. So it's on click equals 5 large, open and close parentheses. That is your only change that you're going to have to make in the HTML to make this work, because everything else is already there. And what it's telling our browser is that if somebody clicks that image, it will launch the 5large function in the JavaScript, which does not exist yet. That'll be our next step. When you have this done, Control S to save, and just click on lab11.js. When I see that you've moved to the JavaScript, I'll know that you're with me. Okay, go to JavaScript, go all the way to the top. I'm going to refer to things by line numbers. So up at the top, line 7 starts our variables. After line 10, you're going to hit Enter and add a new variable. And if the last variable was 4thumb, this one will be 5thumb, and it starts at 4. So variable var 5thumb, thumb has a capital T, equals to 4. That's all we need to change there. You're going to scroll down to line 65. 65 is inside our forward scroll function. From 65 through 70, we're going to highlight, copy, and paste. Now, in those last code that we just copied and pasted, every place that says 4, type 5. So you'll end up making 4 replacements. 5thumb plus plus, if 5thumb equals count, 5thumb equals zeros, images equals 5thumb. Scroll down to line, you're going to be around 105. You might be one off because I put an enter to put a blank line in, but you want the last segment of code in the back scrolling section. Highlight 4thumb section, copy, hit enter, and paste. Again, every place it says 4, you're going to change it to 5. Anybody need more time? Everybody with me? Less scary to program than you thought? Scroll all the way down to 4large. You're going to copy the whole function from var 4large down to the last closing curly bracket. Copy those. And switch everything to 5. Then you're going to want to save. Now mine is unhappy because I did not put mine in my site. So I'm going to quickly define a new site. If yours is in your site, you won't have to do this. I'm not even going to bother defining the server on mine. Now if I save all, Okay, I'm going to show you something quickly because I'm getting an error here. It's giving me an incorrect link. Actually, in site, I'm going to quickly check my links site-wide. That doesn't have any. All right, so I'm going to go back to preview this in Firefox. This should still work. Ah, this one's not working. I missed something. So I'm going to have to fix that. That part's working, but my arrows are not. So I'm going to have to go back and look. Oh, see where I forgot here? Where this in the quotes where it says thumb 4. I needed to change that to thumb 5. So you did need that ID there. So you want to make sure in your source code, and what I forgot was I forgot to put in my ID equals thumb 5. ID equals thumb 5. So I needed to have ID equals thumb 5 here under my image source. And then I needed to make sure in my quotes to, in both that and the last one, to make it say thumb 5 instead of thumb 4. And then we'll try it again. So now it counts 1 through 7 just like the others, and it should work in both directions. And clicking on it should make this one change. So that's what you have to do for your lab today. Again, extra credit if you make this work in your own pages.